Well, when you keep pigs, you can either keep them indoors or outdoors. Obviously here we have some outdoor pigs. There are advantages and disadvantages of indoor and outdoor. With the outdoor pigs that you can see here, it's obvious that they do a fair amount of rooting, and you therefore need quite a lot of space if the whole field isn't soon to be very covered in mud. If you have a lot of mud, then the other main problem is trying to feed them without wasting most of the food. So obviously if it's very, very muddy and wet and you put food down, a lot of that food will be wasted. Having said that, some of the pigs' requirements will be met by what they pick up from the ground. So they will get some nutrition from the grazing that they do and from other things that they find in amongst the grass, which they can eat. It's quite a sunny day today, and the other problem that we would have with Welsh pigs, especially as they're very pink, is that in the sun they will get sunburn, especially behind the ears, where you can see this pig here has already started to perhaps burn, and it's had a spray on it. The only way that you can protect them really is by allowing them to wallow in mud, and they will cover themselves in mud and therefore protect themselves from the sunlight. If you keep pigs outside, then obviously you want them to be in the field where you left them. And fencing is another issue with outdoor pigs. In this paddock here, which is quite large, the pigs have got quite a lot to interest them at the moment without them being too concerned about straying. The best way of preventing them from rooting around inside or under a fence is to put a single strand of an electric fence just a foot back and about a foot high from the fence. The other problem that you will have with keeping pigs outdoors, especially on clay soils which are not free draining, is that the vegetation will be removed very, very quickly, and it will soon be just a whole morass of mud. As well as the feeding, you obviously need to provide a source of water, so there has to be a water trough in the field. Very often with outdoor pigs, the water trough will be associated with the wallow, as that's where the water is. With housing, when they're outside, you will still need to provide an ark for them to go in very bad weather. You would need to put some bedding in the ark in order to encourage them to go in. Perhaps with some fairly dense woodland, they may not use the ark, but they should still have the option to shelter in the worst of the weather. If you have plenty of land available to you, you can rotate the pigs, and this will obviously be healthier for them. It'll keep more vegetation underneath them so that they can graze, but it'll also help reduce the worm burden. You can keep pigs on the same piece of ground more or less indefinitely, but you will need to have a worming regime in place in order to keep them healthy. The other way of operating, if you have limited land and some sheds, is to have a hybrid system where some of the pigs are kept outside and some of the pigs are kept indoors. Usually you would keep your breeding stock outside in crates with their young. Usually you would farrow them indoors, or if you have the crate with the farrowing bars, you would then, after weaning, tend to bring the younger pigs perhaps in for a more intensive diet and feeding so that you could finish them more quickly.